Hey my dudes, my name is Cecilia and welcome to my kitchen here in Stockholm, Sweden. Today we are making hallonbullar, which are Swedish raspberry buns. And I'm just kind of in a bun making mood. It's the middle of summer, it's hot, and even though I don't really want to turn my oven on, raspberry buns just sounds like so good. So let's just go make them. First things first, we gotta make our dough. This is the same cardamom dough that I use for literally everything, like cinnamon buns, cardamom buns. It all uses the same Swedish dough called vetedeg, which literally just translates into like wheat dough. It's delicious. I know it works. I have a million other buns that I've already made with this. Why fix what's not broken? 500 grams of non-fat milk, 1100 grams of all-purpose flour, 200 grams of sugar, 200 grams of butter, 15 grams of salt, 70 grams of yeast. I usually put ground cardamom in this dough. If you don't want to add this in and want more of like a cleaner raspberry flavor, then omit this. This like is not going to affect the structural integrity of the dough at all. But I really love the flavor, and to me it's not like a Swedish style bun without cardamom in it, so I'm gonna put it in. And I need 23 grams, which I only have 20, so 20 grams it is. Onto the machine, and we're gonna use the hook attachment. Every single mixer is different. They all have different speeds. My dad's KitchenAid has 10 speeds. My Kenwood here has only 5 speeds. You wanna put it on your minimum, your number one, your first, nice and slow for 5 minutes. Five minutes is up. I have some butter on the sides here, so we're just gonna give it a quick, I lost myself in that sentence. We're just gonna scrape down the sides a little bit. We mix it for 5 minutes at a slow speed first, so everything can kind of combine and get all together. We want to mix this on a medium slow speed, but if you start it on medium slow, your flour is just gonna like go everywhere. So slow speed for 5 minutes, and now we're gonna put it on medium. Again, medium slow. You don't want this thing like really whipping around. You just don't want it on slow because it'll take like an hour. If you have a really powerful machine like a KitchenAid, check it after 20 minutes. But my baby Kenwood here will take at least half an hour. We're probably looking more at like 45 minutes, but we'll see. We'll check in 30 minutes and see what's happening. It's been a full half an hour. And the dough feels really good, but I've made this dough a million trillion times in this machine, and I'm gonna guess that half an hour is not enough. To check our dough, I have a little bowl of water here, and I want really, really wet fingers. Pull off a piece of dough. Again, wet your fingers. Stretch the dough between your fingers, and it's just absolutely falling apart. I knew it. We're gonna go for at least another 15. It's been another 15 minutes. Let's try this again. My machine is getting so hot, which don't be afraid of. Your machine will be fine, I promise. Even if sometimes your machine stops and like overheats and just refuses to mix the dough more, give it 15, 20 minutes, put an ice pack over the top. It'll be fine. Wet fingers, piece of dough, wet fingers. We're definitely getting places, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm gonna give it another maybe 10 minutes. I know, you guys think I'm insane, but trust the process. I promise you, it's worth it. Trust me. Don't I look trustworthy? It'll be fine, don't worry about it. I kicked up the speed a little bit because I'm impatient and I feel like it just needs to like, we gotta get to where we're going, you know? It's been another 10 minutes and this had better freaking be done because I don't have time for this anymore. If you're wondering also why I have such a weak machine, I do know that I should probably get like a more powerful one, but I'm also really cheap. And so I'm waiting for someone to sponsor me and like give me one because I don't want to like spend the money on like a brand new KitchenAid, or like Kenwood has really nice, more like professional series ones that are way stronger. But I've emailed Kenwood like a couple times asking about sponsorships and they just like ghost me. I will get a new machine eventually. Somebody sponsor me, okay? Wet fingers, piece of dough, extra wet fingers. Okay, I'm still a little rippy. I'm also basically there. So we're calling it good enough for a government job. We're done. Let's put this away and we'll take the hook attachment, plastic wrap, get rid of all the water that's dripped onto my counter. Bowl. Bye-bye, buddy. Thank you for your service. Piece of plastic wrap and pop this dough out of here. Bloop. And now we just want to kind of smush it into a rectangular, squarish-ish shape. We just want it to be flatter because we got to chill it down now. It's a little bit warm from having mixed so much, and we want to both buy ourselves time by cooling it down so the yeast doesn't run away from us, it doesn't start to proof while we're rolling it out, but also right now, because the gluten has been being worked for like an hour basically, it wants to just spring back and is really tight. We need to give the gluten time to just like relax, chill out, and it's gonna make rolling it out into a usable piece of dough for shaping so much easier. If you don't want to use plastic, you could also just pop this on a parchment lined tray and put a towel over it, but regardless, you are going to want to pop this in the fridge. And don't worry if the shape of this is a little wonky, it does not matter. It will be fine. And into the fridge for at least 1 hour. While our dough is resting, let's make the filling. I have in this bowl 300 grams of unsalted room temperature butter, and it is super important that it's room temperature because if it's even a little bit cold, you're gonna struggle with this and it's gonna be annoying and you're gonna be irritated and you're gonna be like, oh, I don't wanna do this. Make sure it's room temperature or softened, whatever, same but different. Into this goes 250 grams of sugar, 3 grams of salt, and 3 grams of vanilla sugar. You can also use vanilla extract instead of vanilla sugar. And then you just wanna mix it up until it is one homogeneous filling. All mixed together and just set that to the side. Do not refrigerate it. Let it be room temperature. Set it to the side until our dough is ready to go. It's been an hour. It's definitely relaxed, but you can see that even in that hour, because my fridge was not super cold, this didn't cool down super fast, which means the yeast like started working and it has puffed up a little bit. That's fine. We're going to knock that air out anyways, but the reason we don't want to give it like a first rise or have multiple rises, we only proof this dough once, is because we don't want any fermented flavor in it. Like we want it to just taste like sweet and yeasty and in no way fermented or sour or anything. Anyway, take off all our plastic here. And you want to save this. We will be using this later. What I probably should have done is given this half an hour in the freezer and then half an hour in the fridge. Fortunately, I'm a professional and this is gonna be fine. Sprinkle, sprinkle, flip it over, sprinkle, sprinkle. Yeah, I think this dough is gonna be really nice. The real question is, what shape do I want to do? I've been kind of going back and forth in my mind about whether I want to do more of like a classic cinnamon bun shape or a classic cardamom bun shape. I haven't decided yet. You want to make sure that it's not sticking to the table too much. So a little bit of extra flour, and I'm going to flip this upside down. Ooh, a little bit of plastic there. That's not good. Oh, I know what shape I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do a cardamom bun shape or a cinnamon bun shape. I have another idea for what I wanna do. Okay, cool, great. So I'm gonna go like this. And then we're gonna go this way. I want my dough to be as even as possible. I have some thick spots over here, but I'm also like not going to freak out and be like a perfectionist about it. Like, This dough is pretty forgiving, so you'll be fine. And I want it to be roughly 2 times longer than it is wide. It is not that, but at least it's longer on this side than it is here. And you want your dough to be about 1/4 of an inch, 1/3 of an inch, 8 millimeters, a centimeter, right around in that range. Beautiful. Filling, and we're just gonna slap all of it on here. Spread the filling over the entire piece of dough. Get all the way to those edges and try to make it as even as possible, but don't drive yourself crazy. We're looking for good enough, not perfect. Like that. Frozen raspberries. You could use fresh. I actually prefer to use frozen berries when making buns because they're so much easier to work with. What's also nice about frozen raspberries is you can kind of like crush them and then you're able to sprinkle them over more easily. Press in a little bit and then we go top third down, press, 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 and top third comes up. Press, press, seal your edges, and press those raspberries in. Got some air bubbles, we'll just squish those out. Flour, flour, and move your piece of dough. And now we just want to gently roll this out so that it is thinner. I got a lot of air pockets, as you can see, but just kind of roll it out so that they kind of gently ease out of the dough. And make sure when you're rolling it out, we're not just rolling it out this way, we're rolling it out this way. Having a lot of length this way means that we're gonna have really long, skinny strips, which are easier to shape. And you wanna be constantly picking it up and making sure it's not stuck on the bottom and that it's very relaxed. Also with buns that you make with berries, like raspberry buns, blueberry buns, you're going to get berry juice and berry pieces like everywhere. It's part of the process. These are not clean buns to make. Like, don't worry about that. It is what it is. Don't fight it. Lean into it. Relax into it. Scale, giant pastry knife. And we're looking for each bun to be 85 grams, but a 10-gram range is fine. So between 80 and 90 grams. 85, let's go. You do not need to scale every single piece. I mean, you can if you want to, but I like to just kind of go for it. And then every 5th piece or something, I just check in, I make sure I'm in the correct range, and then I keep going. Put your scale away, and as best as you can, move your dough over. Gently, gently. Like that. The shape I'm going for today is like a twisted spiral. So take a piece of dough, relax a couple times, and we're gonna twist once, twice, and then take your edge here and roll it in. Take your tail, pop it under, and there you go. Twist, twist, in, and tuck your tail. As I said before, this gets messy, embrace it. And we're done. Metal trays, parchment paper. You can also do this with a silpat or silpats if you have them. Now normally, I don't like my buns touching when they bake, so I usually only put around 8 buns on a tray. Today, I need to bake off all of these and I only have 3 trays. So we're gonna do 12 on a tray, or at least on 2 of the trays. And they might touch a little bit, but oh well. Yeah, they're definitely gonna touch, but it do to be. That can also be cute sometimes when they kiss. Next step, proofing. My oven can only bake off a single tray at a time. If I were to just let these proof at room temperature, they would proof really pretty slowly. They'll probably take at least an hour, possibly up to 2 hours, but I don't really want to wait 2 hours for these to be proofed. So this one, I'm going to let proof at ambient temperature, and these 2, I'm going to push a little bit so we can keep going on this process here. Take your plastic wrap that you have so lovingly saved and place over your buns. You want to keep them from having any direct contact with air, but you also don't want the plastic to be super tight because that makes a little like straight jacket on the buns and they're going to proof wonky, which we don't want, obviously. Okay, see how it's draped really loosely on top of here? That's going to give them a lot of room to grow. These two are going to go into the oven with a pan of boiling water. This creates, in essence, a proof box. These guys are not fully proofed yet, but they're definitely getting there, and I don't want to overproof them, so we're gonna take them out. I'm going to preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, because our buns should be ready to bake soon. It's been half an hour. Our buns are definitely ready for the oven. I can tell that these are proofed because they are doubled in size. They have definitely grown. They are looking puffy. They are looking fluffy. They also have these little tiny bubbles that you can see. You can literally see where the dough has expanded because of the yeast. Also, I'm not going to top them with anything now. We're gonna do that after they come out of the oven. I'll talk about it then. While our first tray is in the oven, we're gonna make a little bit of egg wash, which is literally just a couple of eggs that we mix up. Best practice would have been for me to do this yesterday and have this be ready, but it's fine. When I worked at the bakery, we would make like really big batches, like a liter or two at a time, and blitz it with a hand blender, and then you let it sit overnight so all those bubbles can dissipate. This way you don't get any like snotty strings of egg, you don't get any bubbles. It's just like the nicer, more professional way to do it, but I always forget. And it's gonna be fine. We're at home. We're not in a bakery right now, so. And we're also gonna top these with pearl sugar. I love pearl sugar. I just love the crunch. You could also use just regular sugar. These would also be nice if you made just like a quick icing with either raspberry juice and powdered sugar, milk and powdered sugar, water and powdered sugar. Like you can really top these however you want. I just really like pearl sugar and I think it's really pretty. So that's what we're gonna use today. These look so good. Now I gave them more time than I normally would, about 13 minutes. Usually I bake them for more like around 9 if it's like a cinnamon bun or a cardamom bun or something. But that's just because the raspberry makes these so juicy that you really need to give them a little bit extra time. So as soon as they come out of the oven and they are just screaming hot, you want to start brushing them with egg. Now you could brush them with simple syrup if you wanted to. I prefer brushing with egg. You still get a nice amount of shine, but you don't get that like sticky sweetness that you get from simple syrup. And I know that this is fairly controversial, but this is just what I was taught to do here in Sweden. And again, these buns are super hot out of the oven, and so the egg cooks like almost immediately. So it's not like raw egg. And then quickly we just top with pearl sugar. And on to the next tray. These got a touch darker than the first tray. I left these in for exactly 13 minutes, same as these, but I think the oven was just in general a little bit hotter and more like ready to go. I'm gonna put in the next tray for only 11 minutes. And these guys are 100% ready to go. So I really have just nailed it on my timing today. It's almost like I worked in bakeries and restaurants for over 8 years. And it's almost like I know what I'm doing. Nice. Into the oven they go. All right. Another beautiful tray of buns, if I do say so myself. These went in for 11 minutes, which I thought would be fine because that's less time than these, and they are bigger, but they're also farther apart. So this probably could have gone in for 9 or 10 minutes and be a little bit more golden like this, but you know what? It's fine. All right, let's try one of these guys. This is from the first batch, and they are totally cool. That's a good bun. And I know from an American perspective, maybe it seems like there's a lot of cardamom in the dough and that this would really taste like a raspberry and cardamom bun. And probably if you're not used to eating that much cardamom, you would think that. But for me, who eats Swedish buns with so much cardamom in them all the time, it really doesn't taste like cardamom at all. How many times in a row can I say cardamom? It really just tastes like a Swedish bun that has raspberry in it. I'm super happy with how these turned out. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, then please subscribe, like this. It really helps me out. And I hope that you have a great day and that I will see you around next week. Hej då!